If even major global consulting firms in offshore and international business space are suddenly getting their accounts shut down, what do you think is happening to small businesses, to LLC owners, to startups, to entrepreneurs? Because what happened recently proves a point I've been repeating for years. If you run a serious international business and your primary bank account is on Wise, you are one decision away from disaster. I'm Matteo Maglia, Partnership Manager at GloboBanks, the banking introduction company for international accounts. And today I'm going to show you why relying on basic fintech is one of the biggest hidden risks for growing companies, and why even perfectly legitimate, highly compliant businesses are getting blocked, frozen, or silently offboarded without warning. Let's get straight to it. Recently, Nomad Capitalist, a large international consulting firm, one of our partners in GloboBanks, shared publicly on a YouTube video that their business-wise account was shut down overnight. And this is not a company doing anything shady. This is a company teaching people how to structure their business internationally, legally, with full transparency. They're insiders, they understand compliance, they understand KYC, and still Wise simply decide we don't serve your industry anymore. No warning, no conversation, no grace period, just account closed. And if this can happen to a large, established, reputable company as Nomad Capitalist, imagine what happens to a US LLC with no introducer, no banking history, and no relationship manager. This is exactly what we see every single week at GloboBanks. Companies processing millions, running ads, paying teams, serving clients in more than 30 countries, yet using a fintech designed for freelancers, sending $500 invoices. Let me explain the core issue in the simplest way possible. Wise, Mercury, Revolut, Relay, they are mass market tools. They are built for simplicity. They are optimized for speed. They are perfect until your business becomes too complex for their template. And the problem isn't you. The problem is that these payment platforms don't have the capacity or even the incentive to understand what you're doing. A private bank or a strong regulated fintech with full licensing will ask questions. They will request details. They will clarify transactions. They will escalate your case internally. Wise doesn't do that. Most mass market fintechs don't do that. When something doesn't fit with their algorithm, so they don't ask you to explain. They just shut you down. This is why people lose like $50,000, $100,000, sometimes even more, locked in frozen accounts for months. Not because they're doing anything wrong, but because these platforms are not built to handle anything outside the average user. Now, let me give you a simple example we see all the time. You run a US LLC, for example, with clients in Europe. You pay a contractor in Asia. You receive a wire from a company based in the Middle East, and your holding company happens to be in a low tax jurisdiction. For you, this is normal. This is your business. For a mass market fintech, so that's a suspicious behavior. That's unusual activity. That's a red flag for the compliance team. And remember, metal fintech cards, beautiful dashboards, smooth apps, none of that means anything when the company decides your industry or your structure has become too high risk for them. Now, it is something that almost nobody understands. The more international you become, the less suitable these basic fintechs are. If you're truly global, if you have clients in 5, 10, 15 countries, if your volumes increase every month, if you need multi-currency, if you need high incoming wires, if you need credit, if you need corporate cards with large limits, if you need real support, if you need reliability, then you need a different tier of banking. At GloboBanks, we onboard companies every week into like a strong, fully regulated fintechs with banking grade licensing, internationally recognized financial institutions, solid multi-currency accounts built for high volume operations, real human support and relationship managers, payments that don't get flagged because your business is too global. We do not onboard clients into mass markets, entry-level fintechs. Not because they're bad, but because they are not designed for real international business. There's a fundamental difference between a platform built for freelancers sending $1,000 invoices and a platform built for businesses wired into multiple jurisdictions, receiving large payments and operating in complex compliance environments. And here is the key point most entrepreneurs never consider. Fintech convenience ends exactly at the moment your business becomes interesting. Interesting amounts, interesting jurisdictions, interesting clients, interesting transaction flows. From that moment on, you move from simple user to potential risk. That's the moment accounts get reviewed. That's the moment accounts get frozen. That's the moment offboarding begins. And if this can happen to a company with millions in revenue and full compliance support like the partner I mentioned earlier, then it absolutely happens to smaller companies and usually more aggressively. This is why at GloboBanks we insist on one thing. Never rely on one account, never rely on one country, never rely on one platform. Diversification is not a luxury, it is a survival tool. Our clients typically walk away with multiple bank accounts across different jurisdictions, a primary operational account, a secondary backup account, or one or two strategic accounts for high volume or high risk regions, access to regulated alternatives, not mass market tools, a setup that can survive if any institution decides to offboard you. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Wise doesn't owe you anything. Mercury doesn't owe you anything. Relay doesn't owe you anything. None of these platforms owe you due process explanations or conversations. But when we open an account for you through GloboBanks, you're not a random user. You're an introduced client, perverted, matched to banks that understand your structure, your country mix, your income sources, and your industry. This is why our clients aren't scared of sudden accounts closure. This is why they keep scaling. This is why they run real international operations without interruptions. So, if your business has moved beyond the freelance stage, if you're processing serious number, if you're working on across borders, and if your entire financial infrastructure really is on a free fintech account, you're gambling way more than you think. Because what happened to our partner, Nomad Capitalists, can happen to anyone. And the solution is simple. Stop building a global business on a tool designed for beginners. Bank like a real international company. Use jurisdictions, into institutions, and a platform built for global entrepreneurs. And let people who specialize in international banking, like our team at GloboBanks, guide you so you don't wake up one day with a closed account and no access to your money. If you want to understand which accounts you qualify for, which country makes sense for your company, and how to build a banking structure that actually matches the scale of your business, you can click the link below and request a free assessment. Because the truth is simple. Wise didn't fail because you're doing something wrong. Wise fails because your business is too global and you're finally too big for basic banking. Let's see in the next video.